Locals from Thargomindah, around 1,000 kilometres west of Brisbane, are tonight sleeping in their cars and camper trailers. They can't go home. There is water all through the town. Outback Queensland's flooding disaster is far from over tonight, as stories of survival against all odds emerge.
Evacuating from the evacuation centre overnight, Thargomindah locals finding higher and drier ground at the airport after camping out in their cars. This is what they wake up to. The tiny town's swallowed up. It could take days for streets to dry out. Mercy dashes through the deluge today to grab food and medication. Swift water crews picking up furry family members left behind.
I've got 2 cats back at home and the water's too high to go and feed them, so I'm hoping I can get them out.
This country airstrip right now, a home away from home.
Bag of eggs for these kids.
A ute tray the stage at this unofficial town hall.
Some houses have got probably 6 or 8 inches of water through them. Some houses have got more. The water will start falling away pretty quick.
With a portion of Queensland almost the size of New South Wales right now impacted by flooding, it's a punch to the gut for producers. Around 100,000 animals are missing or dead, 3,000 kilometres of fencing and 4,000 kilometres of private roads damaged. Devastating figures that'll likely grow, but the burden isn't expected to be passed on to consumers in a big way.
Most of the disruptions will be short-term. This year we're on target to actually achieve record beef production. We've got floods in the north, we've got droughts in the south, so a lot of those animals from southern Australia will flow to the market.
Amidst the anguish and treacherous conditions, life finds a way. Ergon crews visiting Addervale, one of the hardest hit areas, ending up on feeding duty, finding a small herd of potty calves and a couple of sheep that had survived against all odds.
Couple of full bellies already.
Further north near Yarraka, a reunion setting some very weary tails wagging.
Who rang 000? I'm the Swiftwater Rescue Team.
Jeff and Anne-Marie Lloyd airlifted from their property Wednesday with water closing in. Their working dogs had to be left behind.
We left them on a sand ridge with a bag of dog nuts. And today he went in to muster cattle out of the river in helicopters, and they found the 4 of them with a mob of cattle. They were doing their job.
Exhausted, but alive.
They're part of our team. We're definitely pleased that we've got them home.
And while this landscape is waterlogged for now,
this water is going to take quite a while to drain out of the system, and we could see flooding persisting for a number of weeks.
Planning the recovery effort is already underway.
Former Mayor of Quilpie Shire, Stuart McKenzie, has been appointed to State Disaster Recovery Coordinator to lead the recovery effort in the West.
As airdrops of food, water, generators and fodder continue touching down in the West. All hands on deck to help outback Queenslanders stay afloat, no matter how small. Lily Greer, 9 News.
Let's go straight to weather expert Gary Youngbury now. Gaz, are we expecting some of that heavy rain here in the southeast?
Melissa, as we speak, getting a passing shower here at Howard Smith Wharves this evening, but showers into this evening, but that will tend to rain for you Wednesday, any time from about 9 tomorrow morning. Rain is heading our way. It'll get heavier in the afternoon, and those heavy falls throughout the afternoon will persist through into tomorrow evening, early hours of Thursday morning. We could see widespread falls of 20 to 40 millimetres heading our way, and some even heavier falls above 50 millimetres to the west of Brisbane through the Darling Downs. Let's have a look at the radar at present. Nothing more than just a couple of showers on the coastal fringe today, and that light patchy rain starting to move in from the west, but a wet Wednesday we are shaping up for. Some much better news though for the weekend. I'll have your local forecast, your 7-day outlook not too far away. Melissa.
Talk to you then. Thanks.
The Health Department of the Philippines reported a 73% increase in dengue cases in the first quarter of 2025, part of an outbreak with nearly 1 million suspected infections, as estimated by the World Health Organization. From January to March, there were 62,313 reported cases. The case fatality rate fell to 0.35% from 0.42% last year.
We are looking at climate change. People say it's the climate crisis already. As far as we are concerned, it's the difference in climate. We have seen data that today's coolest temperatures, so to speak, are still warmer compared to the hottest temperatures of yesteryears. And we do see a lot of studies where the vector, the mosquito vector, which brings dengue, their behavior, their breeding patterns, their fertility even, are all affected by the environment.
The San Lazaro Hospital in Manila has reported 453 dengue cases from January to February, including a 1-year-old boy. According to the European Center for Disease Control, the disease has resulted in 159 fatalities across 48 countries worldwide, with its presence noted in Africa, the Americas, Southeast Asia, and the Western Pacific region.
Ignition and liftoff. Copy, 1 Alpha. Vehicle is pitching downrange. Stage 1 propulsion is nominal.
Stage 2.
Copy, stage 2. That's ignition.
And Commander copies that call-out.
And liftoff. Go Falcon, go Starlink.
Out of the billions of people who ever called Earth home, fewer than 700 of us ever went into space. However, almost the entirety of modern civilization today depends on things humans put into orbit. Everything from our power grid and communication systems to navigation, even banking software at ATMs, depend on their ability to communicate with satellites in space. It makes space-based assets incredibly important and vulnerable.
But there was a gentleman's agreement until recent that we didn't mess with each other's space systems. We didn't jam them, we didn't spoof them, we didn't laze them. We just kept them safe. We didn't have to worry about that.
Unfortunately, General Michael Gutland says that's changing. Vice Chief of Space Operations says adversaries like China and Russia are willing to go against international norms of behavior, fully cementing space as a war-fighting domain. Gutland says both China and Russia can shoot down satellites with missiles from Earth, but they are also proving adept at fielding other orbital options.
The new norms of behavior in space, unfortunately, within the past 3 years, jamming, spoofing, dazzling, norms of behavior, they're happening all around us. Cyber hacks are happening all around us on a day-to-day basis. What's more concerning is the new kit that they're bringing to the fight. Nesting dolls in space that capable of launching an ASAT to take out, or a missile to take out another satellite. Shadowing U.S. satellites. Multiple satellites up there today are shadowing our U.S. satellites in a cat and mouse game. We move, they move, we move, they move. We don't know what their intent is. We don't know what their capabilities are. Unsafe, unprofessional.
Gutland says some Chinese satellites even have grappling arms able to pull satellites out of orbit and potentially hold them hostage.
Everybody is starting to recognize how much more critical space is becoming to our nation and to our national defense. And in the exact same time frame, the Space Force is shrinking. And that's just a fundamental disconnect that I think we have to solve.
General Chance Saltzman is the chief of U.S. Space Force operations. During a recent discussion with the Mitchell Institute, General Saltzman said when it comes to seeing space as a warfighting domain, achieving space superiority is as essential as air superiority in a traditional war, just from a different altitude.
If we don't have space superiority, if we can't protect what we have and deny the adversary the use of space-enabled targeting against our forces, we are going to struggle to meet military objectives. So it's an imperative. Space superiority is an imperative, and we've just got to get after it.
Saltzman says there are 3 guiding concepts to maintaining U.S. space superiority, and they're all interconnected. The first is avoiding operational surprises. Space is huge, so the U.S. needs enough assets in space to monitor what's going on. Concept 2, offense holds the advantage. Satellites present juicy targets because up until now, they weren't built with onboard defenses in mind. Take one out and you could cripple your enemy. So now, Space Force commanders are again calling for more satellites, but not necessarily fancier ones. The idea being if one goes down, the others pick up the slack, creating resiliency. The third concept Saltzman says is needed for maintaining U.S. space superiority is responsible counter-space operations, or generating the ability to stop your enemy from using their space-based assets while still maintaining your ability to use your own. Without a doubt, the task given to U.S. Space Force is a tall order and vital to every other branch of the U.S. military. But the Space Force only has 15,000 Guardians in its ranks and gets just 3.5% of the DoD's total budget. Add in the fact Congress signed another continuing resolution instead of passing an actual budget, and Saltzman says the Space Force is literally losing money year over year, something he says has to change.
The adversary is not stopping. They are progressing. Their curve for developing capabilities is on a different slope than ours. Those that have been in the Pentagon Wars associated with resourcing know that what really happens is your baseline budget just gets iterated on each year. It's a copy of a copy with slight improvements and adjustments. So what I think we're looking at is a fundamental shift, a step function shift in space capabilities through the Space Force budget.
If there isn't a monumental shift in the DoD's approach to Space Force funding, Saltzman says American space superiority could cease, and the reign of Chinese space dominance could begin. And that's an outcome neither the U.S. nor its allies want to see happen.
The Trump administration is laying off thousands of employees at the Department of Health and Human Services in what it calls a sweeping restructuring of the agency in charge of public health, food safety, and medical research. The layoffs are part of a more expansive plan by HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to reorganize major programs under a new office. The effort involves slashing roughly 10,000 jobs within the department through layoffs and another 10,000 employees through early retirement and voluntary separations. The move comes after a series of executive actions by President Donald Trump, including one last week rescinding collective bargaining rights for federal health agency employees. The action impacts unionized federal workers at the CDC, FDA, and other agencies. Democrats criticize the move, arguing it jeopardizes the nation's ability to monitor disease outbreaks as well as food and medical safety, including limiting money for research and insurance programs. Under the job cuts, the FDA will lose 3,500 employees, the CDC 2,400. The National Institutes for Health will lose 1,200, and the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services will eliminate 300, according to HHS officials. Union officials say the cuts will impact positions in human resources, finance, IT, and others. RFK Jr. recently criticized the agency for having a sprawling bureaucracy while failing to improve Americans' health and promised to do more with less.
During the Biden administration, HHS's budget increased by 38%, and its staffing increased by 17%, but all that money has failed to improve the health of Americans. I want to promise you now that we're going to do more with less, no American is going to be left behind.
The Trump administration contends the cuts are needed to improve efficiency and argued the current size of the department has not improved health outcomes.
Хочу вас попросить передать дружеский привет председателю Китайской Народной Республики, нашему хорошему другу, господину Си Цзиньпиню. Мы ждем его в России по случаю 80-летия победы в Великой Отечественной войне, во Второй мировой.
中俄合作从不针对第三方，也绝不受外部的干扰。中俄关系不会止步不前，只会越走越宽广。中俄友好不是面向当下，而是着眼更长远的未来。重要的篇章，谢谢。
China is now conducting massive military drills as it surrounded Taiwan in a show of force, warning the self-governing island against seeking independence from Beijing. The Chinese used Navy, air, ground, and rocket forces as a means to issue a severe warning and forceful containment against Taiwan independence. That's according to China's People's Liberation Army. China claims Taiwan as its own and has long threatened to bring the island nation under its control by military force if necessary. Taiwan's Ministry of National Defense says it counted 19 Chinese Navy ships in the water around the island over a 24-hour period, Monday into Tuesday. The exercises come just weeks after a large-scale military drill by Beijing involved a significant number of drones and ships near Taiwan. China often sends fighter jets and military vessels to the region to remind Taiwan it claims sovereignty over the island nation, despite most people in Taiwan opposing Chinese rule.
So many Europeans feel utterly disheartened by the announcement from the United States. Let me be clear. Europe did not start this confrontation. We think it is wrong. But my message to you today is that we have everything we need to protect our people and our prosperity. We have the largest single market in the world. We have the strength to negotiate. We have the power to push back. Europe holds a lot of cards, from trade to technology to the size of our market. But this strength is also built on our readiness to take firm countermeasures if necessary. All instruments are on the table. Europe has not started this confrontation. We do not necessarily want to retaliate. But if it is necessary, we have a strong plan to retaliate and we will use it.